Hi, Godzone Medicine PS4 and PS5 and Medic Maniac YouTube, and you're back with me waffling about Gran Turismo 7, about racing games, about all stuff that I like to see. So a while ago, Sony Polyphony had on Gran Turismo the Sophy A.I. So if you tried it out, I don't know if you tried it out, I tried it out. I beat the suckable one and I beat another one up to the hardest difficulties, and then I just really lost all will to live with it because I didn't like it. I wanted to see other people's thoughts about AI Sophy, and so I went looking around for different input from other people on the net. The most thing that I saw was a positive reception to AI Sophy and people liked it. I don't. I have massive reservations about AI Sophy, its usefulness in the game, and I felt that Sony Polyphony would have been much better putting their time and resources into making the AI workable in this game to a fashion that doesn't park on the apex, get out and have a picnic when you're trying to have a race. That doesn't get in your way or try and dive past you, to take out the rubber banding, which is there, and I can prove it because I have, and make the AI a better experience for little Johnny and little Susan and, whoever else. I mean, I'm a grown bloke now. I've been playing racing games for a long time. I can play these games. I can play them really quite well, actually, and if I'm not lazy enough, if I actually bother, if the game grabs me, I can really take that to different levels. So I understand how to play a game. I use a pad, so people with a wheel are always going to beat me, and I'm getting older now, so I'm throwing my excuses in there. But I can play racing games. It's a passion of mine. I love motorsport. I really do love motorsport. So I love playing games. I can take a car and just drive for hours and enjoy myself. I don't need to, have this criteria or that criteria. I don't need to have a hard AI. In fact, when I play racing games, I put the AI on the easiest so I can unlock everything. And then what I do later on is, once I've unlocked stuff, or if I want the game to try and challenge me, I'll put it on hard. But it's not hard, is it? Really, not if you can play racing games. So what I thought about AI Sophy was, if you're making the AI be really fast, if you're making it to humble everyone, or to try and humble the 99.9% of players, right? Well, what's the point? What is the point? What is the objective? What are you trying to do? I've come from playing Forza Motorsport over the last few days, and in Forza Motorsport 6 what they did was, well, they did it in 5 actually. I've never played 5, I wouldn't know, but I've seen it on YouTube videos. They started putting mods in the game, right? And mods are in the game in 6. You can get packages of mods which give you so many percent more grip, or so many percent more grip in the wet, or blah de blah, or whatever the mod does. And I'm like, why are you giving me a mod when I can take my car, build it and tune it? You're giving mods out in motorsport games because you want to broaden their appeal, right? So if you want to broaden the appeal of motorsport games, and you want it to do that dual thing where it appeals to people like me who are passionate and who can play the games, but you want it to appeal to little Johnny and little Susie and whoever else, right? AI Sophy is not a cool thing. There were different levels of AI Sophy, but what you have to do with people who aren't really into motorsport, or have a passing, or if you're a kid and you just like cars, you have to help them to enjoy the game. being beaten into a pulp relentlessly, no matter how hard they try, because they haven't got into the intricacies, or they don't understand how to work out what line to take, is not the way to help them. The other thing I found about the AI when I was racing it was that when I look at a television, I have to use my eyes. And the clue's in the name here. It's called a video game. Video, that we see. So developers will put in lens flare. Now I drive, as you might have seen from my videos over the years, over many years, is I drive in what's called cockpit mode. The faster people in the community will swear by bumper view, right? Bumper view generally gives the faster version of lapping because of frame rates over the years and other technical intricacies and blah blah blah. You'd have to read up about it, but essentially bumper view is faster than cockpit view. I cared not, right? I don't care, right? I like to use cockpit view. Other people don't like cockpit view because they say you're sitting in the back or whatever it is. I don't care. I don't have a wheel in front of me in real life. I've got a controller. For me, if I use cockpit view, it feels immersive for me. But developers put in stuff like lens flare. They put in sunsets and sunrises. They put in glares and stuff like that. So when I'm playing a video game, which I'm looking at with my eyes, I can get unsighted into a corner. If I've got a car that's braking on the apex, as is often the way with the very poor AI in Forzas and Gran Turismo's world, what happens is sometimes I get unsighted from my racing line. I can get unsighted from, other things like the edge of a curb where that might, affect my car if it's raining or whatever else it is. I need to see. Right, I'm going to make this very clearly about AI Sophy. AI Sophy does not need to see ever. Right? So when I look at something like AI Sophy that's had a lot of time and effort put into it, I look at it objectively from a gameplay experience that I'm having against AI Sophy. Right? So AI Sophy is using rules and parameters that I cannot. I am bound by my physicality of being a human being looking at a television screen. AI Sophy is not. The other thing that I found is that when I'm using a pad, and I've mentioned it before, a wheel gives you that much more control. What is AI Sophy programmed like? Is it programmed to utilize, different movements to replicate the movement of a pad? So if I'm racing against AI Sophy, and AI Sophy's, there to, pound me into a ground, to humble me, is it doing it on a basis which is a fair playing field for me? I've already mentioned AI Sophy doesn't need to see. AI Sophy doesn't need to use a pad. Is AI Sophy used to replicate the use of a wheel, which I don't own? Is AI Sophy not? I don't know. I don't know the parameters to which AI Sophy is used. Also, what I noticed with AI Sophy was track limits. So for me as a games player, what I would have to do is I would have to trial and error track limits around the whole track, right? On racing lines plural, to understand how they work. And then what I would have to do is I would have to pray to whichever fake god I choose that I can nail that in one lap and utilize the track limits to exceptional proportions to get the best benefit and nail it in one flying lap. AI Sophy doesn't need to do that. AI Sophy can off the bat on the first try hit the racing lines and use the track limits. These are things I cannot do as a human being. So by sight, by pad, by physicality, by being human trial and error, by being human trial and error with sight and pad and everything else, AI Sophy is programmed. That's not representative of a challenge for a human player ever. So while other people were You know, I like AI Sophie. I want more of a challenge. To me, that's not a challenge. And I've spoken about this before in other video games, there's a big miss from developers when it comes to balancing out difficulty. Like, if you watch my PES videos, you'll see it. I can pick out the programmable routine, right? Which is why I can stand there with the ball in my half and have the AI do absolutely nothing, because I understand which programming loop is being used. Difficulty is a program loop, and I did some early programming way back in the 8-bit days, and I kind of understand, you know, about the basics of it. And what I was hoping for, and I don't know if this is technically achievable, but they spoke a lot about the SSD in the PS5, and I was hoping that, like, let's say you're driving around and you've got different cars around you, I was hoping that the AI would be able to utilize a faster version of reading what's going on around it. So, for example, proximity and other drivers to be coded to be aware. And like I say, I don't understand the technicalities of SSD and how it's used in games, but if you could somehow have the SSD to be functioning so the AI would be able to read the situation more quickly and have different programmable variations to help the player, like in terms of racing, to avoid them, for example, or to make maneuvers, you know, that are legal. I've had the AI weaving in front of me. Weaving in front of me. And you're trying to teach people to be clean online. But anyway, those are some of my thoughts on AI Sophie and AI in racing games and Gran Turismo. Gran Turismo really makes me annoyed with the dumb AI. It gets in the way, stops, parks on the apex, they get out, they have a picnic. I've had it where multiple times the rubber banding will get in front of me and then brake straight away for an upcoming corner. Or it will fly off the track because it's desperate to get past me because of the AI rubber banding programming. It hasn't moved forward at all. And for me, AI Sophie is a complete, total and utter waste of time. What are you trying to achieve? Godsend Medicine over and out. That is on AI. I have plenty more to say, trust me.